Hi there, it's Sam from worst.com, again with another comparison video. In this one, we will take a closer look at the OnePlus 9 Pro and the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II. We are comparing them in terms of display, performance, camera, design and battery. So watch until the end of this video and find out which one is in our opinion the better phone. If you'd like to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let's start straight away with our review. Let the facts speak. Performance. The 9 Pro is available in two versions, one with 8GB RAM and 128GB storage capacity, and one with 12GB RAM and a memory of 256GB. Both versions use the Qualcomm Snappdragon 888 chipset. That's a lot of raw power combined with the latest Snapdragon. Let's see if the Xperia can stand a chance. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II has 256GB internal storage capacity. It is equipped with a super fast Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chip and has 8GB RAM. Storage capacity can be expanded by up to 1TB. Who's going to come out on top? Let's take them into the Antutu benchmark and Geekbench 5 test and find out. The tests are divided into three phases: a performance test of the RAM, a test of how the device is handling two-dimensional graphics, and an endurance test of how the device is handling 3D graphics. The second test is from Geekbench. This app will measure the performance of our smartphones in terms of CPU and GPU. The newer chip combined with a bigger RAM and newer software brings the 9 Pro way ahead of its competitor, which makes up for an easy win for the OnePlus. It is to be mentioned though that the storage capacity of the Sony can be expanded to an impressive 1TB, which is pretty unusual for the latest smartphone generations. But the point of course still goes to the 9 Pro. Display. The Xperia 1 Mark II has a 6.5-inch cinema-wide display, which means it has a 21:9 aspect ratio with a 1644p resolution. It uses a 4K OLED screen which creates crispy sharp images. The 6.5-inch display therefore measures 16.5 cm diagonally with a pixel density of an incredible 643 ppi. The screen only has a 60Hz refresh rate, but it uses motion blur which creates the look and feel of a 90Hz display. Wow, some of these specs are impressive, but can it still compete with the screen standard of 2021? Let's have a look at the OnePlus now. The OnePlus 9 Pro features a 6.7-inch display with a 1440p resolution. It uses an AMOLED screen with an adaptable 120Hz refresh rate and a peak brightness of 1300 nits. The phone therefore measures roughly 17 cm diagonally and has a pixel density of 525 ppi. So, as you saw, the Xperia has some pretty big numbers and easily beats the OnePlus in terms of resolution and pixel density. On the other side, it is missing a high refresh rate, and its low peak brightness makes it a challenge to use the phone in bright daylight. The OnePlus of course features a 120Hz adaptable refresh rate, a very solid peak brightness of 130 nits, and overall the bigger screen. All things considered, the 9 Pro just has a more solid display and therefore deserves this point. Camera. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II had three main cameras: a 60mm ultra-wide, a 24mm wide angle and a 70mm telephoto camera. Each camera has a resolution of 12 megapixel. The front camera's resolution is 8 megapixel. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II records 4K videos at a maximum of 60 frames per second. And of course it has image stabilization for video too. Since Sony is known for its excellent camera systems, I have high hopes for this one. But first, let's have a look at the setup of the OnePlus. The OnePlus 9 Pro features a quad rear camera system. It consists of a 48 megapixel wide angle, a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle, an 8 megapixel telephoto and a 2 megapixel monochrome camera. Its front camera has a resolution of 16 megapixel. The 9 Pro records 8K videos at a maximum of 30 frames per second and 4K videos at a maximum of an incredible 120 frames per second. A special feature is the color calibration system by famous camera manufacturer Hasselblad. Both phones have good camera systems, but which one is actually the better system? Let's take it to our camera test and let's find out which one does a better job. The OnePlus 9 Pro takes superb pictures. They are sharp and perfectly in focus with great color rendering. The pictures taken with the Xperia are also great, but not quite as good as the OnePlus's. The front camera is definitely better on the 9 Pro. As you can see, the picture is a lot sharper and also shows more details. When it comes to slow motion videos, the Xperia is able to produce 120 frames per second videos in 2K and Full HD mode. Whereas the OnePlus 9 Pro is able to produce 240 frames per second in Full HD and 480 frames per second in 720p. We still like the Pro apps on the Sony, because it gives you a bit of a feeling like using a real camera, not just a smartphone camera system. But when it comes to taking good pictures, the OnePlus simply is a bit better. Same goes for the video recording and slow motion feature. Therefore, the OnePlus 9 Pro is crowned the winner and takes home this point. Design. The Sony Xperia 1 Mark II has a clean design with a glossy finish. The triple camera system is well positioned on the upper left corner on the back of the phone. The smartphone weighs 181 grams. It is water and dust resistant thanks to an IP68 rating. The Xperia 1 Mark II has, like every modern smartphone, a USB-C connector. You can unlock the phone via fingerprint scanner, which is built into the power button on the right side of the phone. One thing that you cannot find in most of the new flagship phones is an audio jack. The Xperia 1 Mark II still has one, which we consider as a bonus point. Look at that headphone jack. We haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Next up, the OnePlus. The OnePlus 9 Pro features a semi-matte glass backside and a shiny aluminum frame. It is available in 3 different color variants: Morning Mist, Stellar Black, and the one that we tested, Pine Green. The quad rear camera bump is situated in the upper left corner on the back of the phone and stands out from the minimalistic design of the rest of the backside. The smartphone weighs 197 grams, it has an USB-C connector at the bottom, and of course it got an IP68 rating and is therefore dust and water resistant. It has an optical fingerprint sensor tucked into the display and also features face recognition technology to unlock the phone. If we had to rate the 3 just mentioned sections, 1 point would go to the OnePlus, as we prefer the pine green and the matte finish over the glossy back finish of the Xperia. 1 point would go to Sony, since we like the camera bump a bit more, and the last point would be split, because we couldn't decide if we prefer the angular design with the flat edges of the Sony or OnePlus's rounded approach with the curved edges. I guess that is on you to decide. Overall for us, this is a draw, which would normally result in both getting a point. But sadly, the OnePlus failed our simple waterproof test, which resulted in the rear camera becoming unusable. This shouldn't happen to a phone that is marketed at IP68 water and dust resistant, and therefore we have to take away the point from the OnePlus. This essentially means that the Xperia won this category and certainly also gets this point. Battery. The OnePlus 9 Pro has 4500 mAh. On the other hand, the Xperia has 4000 mAh. In terms of fast charging, the OnePlus offers 65 watt, while the Sony only has 21 watt. The same large differences can be seen when it comes to wireless charging, where the Xperia features 11 watt and the OnePlus offers 50 watt. The OnePlus 9 Pro is also the only one with reverse wireless charging capabilities. Let's bring them into our day-to-day usage test and see if Sony has an ace up its sleeves or not. Well, in short, they did not. But given the difference in battery size and that the Xperia is 10 months older than the OnePlus, this doesn't really come as a surprise. In our test, the 9 Pro was able to last around half an hour longer than its competitor, and obviously it is a mile ahead in terms of charging capabilities. So this point clearly goes to the OnePlus 9 Pro. Nevertheless, we still like to remind you that it always depends on how you use your phone on a day-to-day basis, and both devices will easily bring you through a whole day of normal usage. Conclusion. Alright, let's do a quick recap and go through all the categories once more to collect the points and see who's got to be the winner today. As always, we started off by comparing the displays of both phones. And even though the Xperia shines with an exceptionally high resolution and pixel density, overall it is the OnePlus that has the better screen and gets the point. In terms of performance, it went the same way, and the 9 Pro got its second point. Which is no surprise though, considering the age of the Xperia and the hardware that was used. In the third category, we took a quick look at the 2 camera systems, where the OnePlus again did a bit better than its competitor and took home yet another point. The design category, on the other hand, was a very close battle, as we really liked the minimalist and clean approaches of both devices. Sadly, we had to take away the point of the OnePlus for this obvious tie, because it failed our water resistant test. So only the Xperia got a point. Last but not least, battery life. This category was again pretty one-sided, as the OnePlus was able to last longer and also had much better charging capabilities. So 1 more point for the 9 Pro. Summed up, we got 4 points for the OnePlus and 1 point for the Xperia, leading to a clear and deserved winner called the OnePlus 9 Pro. Naturally, we review more than these 5 categories covered here. If you want to see the full comparison, follow the link to our website. You can compare up to 7 different smartphones at versus.com. But before you do that, please post your comments and let us know which phone you think ranks first. If you liked our video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Till then, take care and see you soon.